Stick it up, mister. Hear what I say, sir, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. Get your hands in the air, sir.
Fucking just fishing Walthamstow on the river, and Bals only gone in his pants. He's got a lump.
Welcome back to Bals Fishing. Let's breeze through the boring bits. The first night was a blank. The story begins when I decided to move. I see no signs of carp during the night, and I woke up and see nothing at all in the morning. It was time to find the carp. I came with my friend Adam and ended up doing a lap of the lake. We ended up setting right back at the start, so we had done a mission before we had even started. But I had a good night's sleep with no signs of carp or no knocks on the rod. So with nothing in front of me, off I went and searched for the carp.
Oh, give it to me. Give it to me 2 times. Give it.
When I set off, I soon realised that the task in hand weren't going to be easy. Looking out across the lower Maynard, it looked more like an ocean than a lake. Sitting in different swims and watching the water, I see absolutely no movement at all. Walking round the lake, I come upon a weir. Off the weir was 2 rivers. The first spot I came across, I ended up seeing a small shoal of carp. This was spot number 1 on the river. As I approached the bank, I kept my distance from the margin. I didn't want to spook the small shoal of carp I'd just seen. I had travelled light with 2 rods, 1 net and a bucket of bait. I didn't know and didn't realise how small the river would be, and it's not very wide at all, so I'd only use 1 rod anyway. When I go to put my leg up, I look over the edge as I see some carp, but I want to look that little bit more, and as I look that little bit more, 3 carp end up bolting. I didn't get disheartened by it, as I hadn't seen anything at all on the first night, so I was just happy to see some carp, and I knew they could be back in the area. Being mindful that the carp was still in the area, I lowered my rig into the water, just by taking off the bail arm and dropping her in. I'd previously seen and could see in front of me there was a bowl of gravel just in front, and I was aiming for the centre of the bowl. The water was gin clear, so as I lowered the rig, I was feathering the weight down so I could get it exactly, or tweaking it into the exact position that I wanted. Holding the lead 4 or 5 inches above the spot, then dropping it. I'd moved the bail arm off and I went round the other side of the tree, so I had that couple more extra foot for the carp not to see and sink the line to. I waited and watched the water for about an hour and a half, and soon realised this wasn't going to be as easy as I thought. I'd seen massive crayfish and they were homing in on my hook bait. The water was so clear that I think even the crayfish could see me. The carp didn't come back, so off I went again in search for somewhere new. I left the first spot and threw in a bit of bait to come back to later. Here you can see I'm trying to zoom in on the gravel spots. This is where I think the fish were feeding. I'd end up spending an hour or 2 here as well. Casting to the far margin, aiming for the gravel bar. I went a little bit downstream just to have a look, and I came across this. I watched the water for about 10 minutes and soon realised there was more than 3 or 4 carp in here. And some of them weren't small. There were some proper lumps, and there was a few mirrors as well. I gave it a little flick out, not too far in front of me, set me rod, and it was just like fishing park rings. I knew the water was absolutely gin clear, and nothing but a rat in my swim. I was waiting for darkness. Before I knew it, and before me mate Adam knew it,
just fishing
I was into my
Walthamstow on the river,
playing a fish
and Bals only
downstream.
gone in his pants. He's got a lump. You up, Bal? Bal. Turn round, mate. You're on candid camera, mate.
I didn't realise how big she was until I got her out. I hadn't seen one either all day this size. But to my delight, it was an absolute screamer, an absolute beaut, and a new PB from the river. Thank you for watching. Follow at Bals Fishing.